This is Josh
This is Rob.
with Snapdragon Hemp. We're the founders of Snapdragon Hemp here in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
I've been doing this since about 2018 in the local flea markets.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey to get where we're at today. So, started small. Of course, we started making all of our own products, making just some of the best things that we could make, and that's kind of what we brought to the market to showcase what we could do. And ever since then, we've just not stopped trying to make the best, stay above the regulations, all the fun things with law and all as they change and as we started to grow. It was such a blessing in like 2020 to be where we were during the boom of COVID with online sales and growing stores in the local market to get into the lobbying. So I've met with senators, representatives every year to discuss kind of where we are as a business in Tennessee. And this year has been probably the toughest challenge of all. Last year was so great because we had our law passed. We worked on it for 2 years, and the governor signed it July of 2023, which really set us up for success in Tennessee, allowing us to be dispensaries, allowing us to sell THC. So you can walk into a store in Tennessee and buy a THC product legally. 6% of that sales from that product goes to the Department of Ag for regulations of THC products to make sure that what you're able to get in dispensaries across the state are above and beyond what they should be. So it's been so great to pave a way to allow hemp in the state of Tennessee to be similar to what cannabis is in other states. The thing about Tennessee is they don't like the word marijuana.
They do not.
Marijuana is a no good in Tennessee. People are still getting frustrations about the ticketed and arrested across the state for possession of stuff like that. It's something that we've, pushing for decriminalization, but every year they get shot down first. But the further we push the word THC, the further we showcase what hemp is in the state of Tennessee. It's been a massive movement for the government. So we're hoping good things. But that's kind of what the highlight of I think this podcast is on our first interview or our first podcast that we've done. So super excited about being here today in East Ridge with this podcast. More to come. But probably every single day, someone from a news station has reached out to me this past month. Different lawyers in town have reached out to me to kind of see their thoughts about what direction this is going to happen. So we've been on Channel 3 and 9, also in Knoxville and Nashville on the news just in this past 2 weeks. And the questions that we've been asked are questions that we want to show our customers and other folks in the area that are interested in education about what this means for them as the business owners that run other dispensaries reach out to me to ask me questions as well too. So this is kind of one of the, let's put it all into a podcast. Let's make it sound good and let's spread the word and tell everybody what we're doing and what's to come. Tennessee Department of Agriculture has been on everybody about the smokable flower, the concentrates, and serving size stuff. So, cannabis sales of flower being probably 50% of everything sold in the state, smokable hemp that contains THC. They're looking at outlawing that completely. So big things to come on that one. But also at the same time, the federal government is looking at a reschedule from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Schedule 1 being meth and heroin and all these bad things that are horrible for you. Right along here with cannabis. It's a great product that 88% of everybody in Tennessee wants to be legal. So moving that from a Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 is going to be big. Just a lot of pushback that Tennessee has had for regulation over the years for cannabis or THC, marijuana, any of the above, always gets shot down because the governor of the state says that we're only going to follow what the federal government does. So the federal government said, hey, it's just as bad as heroin for all these years. So Tennessee has followed. So hopefully from the top down, some of the reschedule from 1 to 3 is going to help out Tennessee make things even more progressive than they have. So some of the pushes like that.
And from my side, I really think it's interesting because a big chunk of the new law that's coming is going to be about the child proof, about having double COA on this and that. And from my perspective,
Yeah, real quick, COA is the certificate.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
It's not the certificate of authenticity, but it's the analysis, the certificate of analysis. So what they do is they use HPLC, which is high pressure liquid chromatography, to figure out down to the 3 thousandth of 1% how much of a cannabinoid's in a product. So it's something that we hold in high regards at Snapdragon. We only use Tennessee DEA approved labs for testing and go above and beyond to make sure that,
Hmm.
standards are set. So
Exactly. And that's one of those things that it's always been, and until these last few years, it's been kind of like the wild, wild west with a
mhm,
lot of the laws. But from the get go, even though it wasn't a requirement, these are always things that we've done. We've always double, triple standardized our stuff. Even when we didn't have a store yet, you'd look around and, the reason we were so successful and got into a store space so quickly is because we were the only ones doing it the right way.
oh yeah.
So a lot of these regulations that are coming, we're all for it. We're all for the child proofing. We're all for, making it safer and getting some of the, for lack of a better term, the bull crap out of places like gas stations that really have no idea what they're selling even to this day.
Oh, without a doubt. That's some of the biggest frustrations, and especially it's gotten better over the years with Department of Ag's regulation, but still there's not a lot of enforcement that goes on with it. And that was that help for that 6% tax to go to Department of Revenue, and they're the ones that are supposed to help enforcement and taxations and all these crazy things. But anyways, if you could go into a gas station and buy a 100 milligram gummy, and then go into a hemp store and buy a 100 milligram gummy, and go to our store and buy a 100 milligram gummy, there's only one that's going to be there's only one that's going to be 100 milligrams.
Vastly different effects.
Yeah, oh yeah. So just creating some standards across the board, because it is so frustrating. People come into our stores all the time and they're like, well, yeah, I tried something down here and it didn't work for me, or I tried something over here and I vomited and threw up and it made me sick. So it's like, this is something we want to create consistency, reliability across the board. A lot of the other states, California, Colorado, Oregon, Michigan, New York now has done a good job kind of creating some of these standards. So I like to follow the Oregon standards more so than others, especially on their grow regulations. Oregon, in my opinion, has got some of the better grow regulations for, you know, all the nutrients and whatnot,
Sure.
PGAs and all these fun things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. I don't know if in our 6 years, I don't know if there's ever been a product that someone came to us with and said, I didn't get the same kind of effects, and we tested it and it be anywhere close to accurate.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
single time someone's like, oh, this is not the same. We tested it. It's like, because the results are nowhere. They're not even close to what
Mhm.
they're advertising.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, the big stuff is, and that's what we've tried to push with Tennessee, is to say, hey, here's the way. We work so closely with the Department of Ag. We were one of the first in Southeast Tennessee, beginning of 2019, to be certified as hemp extractors and manufacturers and producers, along with milk and dairy certifications for Department of Ag for making our edibles. So we've helped set the goals and what training looks like for the Department of Ag when they go and do their inspections in places. So it's been so fun to be on board with helping set these regulations and set these goals and set this is what a standard should look like. It's just now down to enforcement, and in a sad way, hopefully Tennessee doesn't go too extreme with it, because sometimes that when you let something get out of control, like the stuff at the gas stations, we're just so out of control for so long, it's hard to really rein that in without just making everything like it's illegal.
Sure.
So that feeling, and we're pushing this year, but definitely some things to come from the Department of Ag around July, so they should release that stuff. So,
Yeah. What are your feelings so far about it? Like where we're at versus.
well, in February, so went up to Capitol Hill, Nashville, in February, talked to some senators, representatives then, and kind of got their feeling about what they were just overall. Hey, what do you know about this? What have they said about this? Nobody knew anything about any of it. We're kind of walking in with a blind, but at the same time, the Department of Ag already had a comment period. So in a comment period, hey, like 4,000 people asked questions, and they're supposed to respond and answer all these questions that were asked. Hey, this is what the rule is. This is it's a little vague right now, but you've asked a question. Here's clarification on it. That was supposed to be submitted by the end of March. They pushed it back to April, and they still have not answered those questions yet. So once they answer those questions, hey, this is what the rule is. This is what the guidelines are. Here's the Secretary of State that says this is what we say the rules to be. This is the government operation for the state of Tennessee. This is what the rules changes are going to be. And this path that's already created about stuff, they are just so far behind that they don't know what they're doing about it. I feel like it's just going to be a wash. I feel like all this talk is going to be pushed and talked and pushed and talked and pushed and talked, and nothing's going to happen until next year.
And I think that's just interesting because so many bills that they try to put forward get washed out.
Yeah.
And I just talked to our contact up there, Jeff,
Mhm.
like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, hey, these are happening in this amount of time. These are this is the direction we want to go as a company or whatever. What do I need to expect? And Jeff's just like, hey, here's step 1. here's 2, 3, and 4. At step 4, this would be July 1st. They haven't even started step 1 yet. They haven't even beginning to talk about it. No one knows. No one has a clue about what's going on in Capitol. So
yeah, in a good way for us because it's pushing it's pushing them out a little further to see, well, because last year, from July of last year until December of last year, that was whenever the 6% tax started. And just in that interim time, they raised over $1 million just in the 6 months. And the reports of how many people were paying that were less than, they said statistically less than 20% of people that should be paying are paying.
oh my
So
God, it's so low.
it's so low. So it's hard to enforce whenever the budget can't be filled because they're not enforcing what needs to be enforced.
Sure.
So there's a lot of back and forth on that, from the Tennessee state standpoint, but they've got a lot of catching up to do, and hopefully when they do their catch up, they'll be able to see that the rate of growth just from 6 months last year until the first 3 months of this year. The first 3 months of this year raised almost double what was raised in the 6 months last year.
Oof.
So the more money that we're able to put into the government, and we're saying, hey, if you make this illegal, you're going to drop $28 million of revenue for the state. How are you going to replace it? What's it going to be replaced by?
Yeah.
And they don't have an answer for that. So hopefully that's gets shot down by the secretary.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that is the answer. Hey, we can't.
Yeah.
It's a lot of revenue.
Yeah, it's a lot of revenue. Let's regulate it and do things the right way and enforce people for doing things the right way, and then we're good. So, and that's what we want to happen. We want these regulations that we've set are amazing. If everybody followed them, if everybody tested the way they were supposed to be done, we would have the best cannabis market in the entire country. The fact that we can have an event, our Snap Fest 420 this year was at Miller Park on 420. It was killer. Thousands of people showed up for it. Music, I mean, it's a free cannabis event, stuff like that. Smoke out in the park, have a little infused drinks or whatever. It turned out it was
so good.
It was such a fun time. But if you were to go to California and go listen to a Snoop Dogg concert, you can't buy a pre-roll. You can't smoke at the Snoop Dogg. You can bring something that you had for whatever, but it's the consumption idea versus what we have in Tennessee versus what that word marijuana, because marijuana is still a stigma word. It's still a bad word. It's still a word that we don't want to use, and we're trying to push it out. Medical marijuana committee? No, we don't want medical marijuana. We don't want marijuana.
It's ran its course, and the war on drugs kicked that phrase out the door.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist anymore.
We want healthy cannabis. We want alternatives to drugs and other medication that's done in a natural, holistic way. That's kind of the goal of what we want to do, and we make an effective product that's able to do so for so many people. So
yeah, and it's just surprising. I talked to Alec, our marketing director, and we talk all the time, and he just tries to push, cannabis is hemp, cannabis is hemp, cannabis is hemp. There's still, I mean, we're 6 years into this, and there's still people that think everything is just CBD. So it's really hard to convince. Hey, this is cannabis. You're going to get the effects you're looking for this stuff, even today.
It's got THC in it. Yeah, you're paying for THC.
And then they're like, oh, it's the fake weed.
Well, and that brings us into another little segment about what this some potential about. So there's different cannabinoids. So as we've grown and as China's done for thousands of years, you have THC and you have CBD and you have some minors of CBG and the CBN, good for insides, good for body relaxation. But there's grown cannabinoids that are grown this way and treated this way and done this way. But then there's the synthetically derived cannabinoids where they'll take a CBD or take a THC and run it through basic, chemistry class 101 reactions about hydrogenating something or an acetic reaction or just an oxygen reaction to degrade, simple, distillation reactions. So they're taking THC molecules, running them through kind of like the idea of the pharmaceutical industry and turning them into compounds that are not naturally derived in the cannabis plant. And that's what's right now striving in the gas station industry across the country and all the hemp states, the HHC, the THCP, the THCO, and
there's so many.
Yeah, there's so it's crazy. I'll go to some gas stations and see the little signs, and it's just made up stuff. HXH, HXH,
it's made up.
and it's like
I've seen every letter of the alphabet. THC.
Any of that stuff isn't real. I mean, it is real. Anything's real. It's, this desk right here is real. But I'm not going to smoke it and get high, I guess. but the idea of it's not what we want to push.
No.
And that's what we want to push out of the market to allow what we've known for, THC, CBD, Delta 9. These things work. They're effective, tried and true methods. We're not trying to create some synthetic research material that doesn't have testing behind it like a lot of the other folks do, and just push it out to the market because, well, it doesn't contain THC. It's,
No, like you said, this is built on literally thousands of years of research. Like this isn't anything new. We're not reinventing the wheel. It's the other people that are trying to reinvent the wheel when it's not necessary to.
Mm-hmm. The spice market. So
Mm-hmm.
familiar in the like 20 years ago now, the spice market started as K1,
Oh my gosh.
ended up by like K12 or K13 by the time they got done with it. But the idea of K1 was it messed you up, right? But the negative side effects weren't really horrible. But by the time they got 12 iterations down, by the time you smoked enough to feel anything off of it, you could die.
I witnessed some bad freakouts. It was
Yeah.
not good. It was a bad time period.
Yeah. So that idea of what that is, the spice market, is kind of what we want to control and stop in the state of Tennessee, to say, hey, look, this is the natural, this is the organic, this is the right way of doing it. California doesn't have HHC, THCP, THC, all that stuff. As soon as all that stuff came to market, any legal state made that illegal. So out of the 38 states that have recreational on them, none of that stuff is in any of those states.
No.
And there's a reason why. And there's a reason why we don't want it here in our state as well, too. So
Yeah. My only thought is on those states. I mean, completely off topic, I guess, but I do think it's stupid that the legal states with Delta 8 that there's even an issue. And I know it's money.
Yeah.
I know it's nothing other than that, but that should be illegal cannabinoid for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Delta 8 type idea, that one is because when we do these studies, I mean, when you take THC, when you take Delta 8, when you take Delta 9, your body metabolizes them and pees out a certain cannabinoid, Delta 11 THC, essentially, right? So when you can fail a drug test on something with THC, but if I went and got an HHC gummy that was derived from THC and took a drug test, I would not fail for it.
Sure.
Because your body does not metabolize it, does not hit the THC receptors the same way. It's some unknown, who knows. So we get a little worried about some of those for like tolerance use, continued use. Is it going to mess with your long-term effects of cannabis? Is it going to, so
a lot of unknowns for sure.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns. So we pride ourselves having the best quality.
You want to go a little into actually like what is hemp and how is it different from marijuana?
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my biggest highlight on this one is going back to 2014, and then Tennessee reiterated it in 2018. So whenever Tennessee come up with their guidelines, this was the guidelines based on what is the definition of THC in the state of Tennessee. Tennessee said time and time and time again, and even clarified in the bill last year, or the law last year that was signed, THC is equal to Delta 9 THC. Delta 9 THC is the active version of. So if you were to take a joint and smoke it, you're taking Delta 9 in. If you eat a gummy or eat an edible, it's Delta 9. If you were to take a joint and eat it, you're not going to get high off of it because it's THCA. It's not activated. So Delta 9, the activated version, will it get you high if you take it, is the definition of THC in the state of Tennessee. And there was a couple other states that had that same protocol in 2018, but by 2020, 2021, Tennessee was the only one in a very gray area to allow that definition to be intact. And that was why in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, we pushed for reclarification of. So the idea of, as we grow cannabis products, it grows as THCA. It doesn't convert into Delta 9 until your extraction method and your formulation method for making products. So whenever we decarb and turn it into Delta 9 for our edibles that we do and our gummies that we do, stuff like that, that's when you have to worry about, like our gummies, we can't have more. We've got some 10 milligram small gummies and 20 milligram big gummies of Delta 9. Usually, we push the limits on stuff. Usually our tests come back at 0.25 to 0.28% Delta 9 THC. So we're threading the needle on the 0.3, right? But creating the best product we can in the state legally. What makes it somewhat different on some of the concentrate stuff is, as it grows, it's not Delta 9. It's THCA until you light it or extract it or you combust it or decarb it would be the correct word, decarboxylation. So in Tennessee, we've gotten away with concentrates, flour, all these kind of things, and we test every single product that we do. We test somewhere around 600 to 700 samples every 12 months on products, and not quite often, but occasionally we do have products that'll fail tests, and we won't sell them or we'll turn them into something else. That's the beauty about us being extractors or manufacturers across the board. If there's nothing for somebody on a Monday to drop off 100 pounds. Here's 100 pounds of cannabis. turn into something for me. And by Thursday, we can, here's 10,000 cartridges, have fun with it, So anything can be made into something. And we enjoy making stuff. That's kind of the beauty of what we do. The ingredients, shining star, making good stuff.
The coolest thing has been, I guess, as far as just the differences in hemp and stuff, the coolest thing has been the edibles. Our current definition of what we can work off of are 50 state legal federal edibles. That, like you said, the difference, THCA and Delta 9, one being the non-psychoactive and one being the psychoactive, we're able to get that Delta 9 in anything as long as it's by weight ratio. Those little gummies, they're small, but they're heavy. So we can have 10 milligrams in there. We have cookies that are 50 milligrams, multiple servings and stuff like that. So it's interesting to hear people ask, like, what's the difference between cannabis and hemp and stuff? Because no matter what product that you get in the state of Tennessee, if you're buying a product that is a Delta 9 product, people are like, oh, this is just hemp. It's the same thing. You go through any dispensary in any legal state, you're just getting Delta 9. And the funniest thing is that people still don't. I guess mostly the people that don't really travel out to Colorado or travel out west or where it's legal more often than not. I just heard you talking about this the other day. People, 50% of the time that they've bought cannabis in a legal state have bought THCA. That's just what it is. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you see cannabis cups winners and they have 30+%. It's because that's THCA. You're not hitting that with Delta 9.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting how much people don't know, even though they've already been here. They've already been trying it. They've already been smoking it. They just don't have the knowledge that it is what it is.
It's a different thing to educate because as hopefully the goal for all this stuff that we're doing in Tennessee with the hemp program is that eventually they will take it over as like a national type program to say, hey, look, here's some basic guidelines that if these states that aren't for it or are against it or haven't wanted to set regulations up, here's some good regulations that this lovely state of Tennessee has put together for us. I do believe that overall, some of the guidelines that we've got, regulations that we have, um, Georgia, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, there's no reason these guys shouldn't, jump on board.
You would think so.
Mm-hmm.
You would think so.
Oh, for sure, because they're playing like a blind eye to it, especially like the Georgia and Alabama. Oh my gosh, it's frustrating sometimes. They're so against everything that they're against regulation, they're against standardization, they're against everything about it, which allows the stuff to be sold there to be the worst in the country. So when you take this stuff, it's like the cheapest crap you can buy that somebody's making in their basement in New Mexico. There's no regulation that has to be made in the Department of Ag certified lab there. There's no regulation on shipping in or shipping out. And then when it comes into Georgia, it's just a product to be sold no different than, not even no different. A Payday has more, a Snickers bar has substantially more regulations on it when you go to the gas station to buy it versus these gummies that are who knows what, made with what, dosed up what, no test on anything. And then quite often the tests that even are on them is just some, it's a junk lab that I would have absolutely no respect for.
No.
So I like the regulations that we're doing in Tennessee, and hopefully these other states do follow. Because if not, it's only setting this. People are going to have issues. Somebody's going to go to someone in Georgia, get something that was bad, and then, oh, we shouldn't have had this. It's like, no, you should have regulated what you had, and then you wouldn't have this problem. Trying to avoid the future problems as the hemp market goes toward like what we consider the spice market or whatnot. So,
I mean, anybody that's against the regulations that are coming, in my opinion, they just don't really care about what they're doing. They're good. They're all good.
Oh yeah. It's all good stuff for sure. And I would love nothing more than the federal government to pick up kind of what we've done with the hemp market and kind of replace that across the country. But we'll see. Because there's a lot of crazy stuff when you think about like what happens if the federal government just opened the floodgates. When it's like, all right, well, Oregon's just going to ship everything to everybody across the country and interstate commerce, and everybody in their own state's going to be shut out. And then it's like, what do you do? Because right now everything's controlled in the state. If you're in Oregon, you're in Oregon. You're in California, you're in California. You're in, every state is its own regulation. You cannot leave or enter the state with another something of the same thing.
Yeah. So how do y'all deal with that being here where we are now? We're within a 30-minute drive of 4 states, and we're right here on the state line. So how do y'all kind of first off, how do you keep up with all that? And then second, like, how do y'all deal with 4 different states all right here close by, and then the federal laws on top of all that?
It gets a little difficult because the federal laws are more vague, but then some of the states like Georgia took the vagueness of the federal law and even made it more vague. So it's an odd thing. And it's so weird in Georgia, it's a county by county basis. If you're in Dalton, they'll be selling, here's these list of 30 products they sell in Dalton. You go to Atlanta, there's just weed shops in Atlanta. I mean, it's just literally just like, it's kind of like what New York, before New York got legal years ago, you could walk in New York and there's weed shops up there. Even on the street, there's like buses that would drive around New York selling weed to people before it was any legal at all. It's like, well, there's however many million people there, you're going to find them. And I don't know, it's risk versus reward. They took that play. Same thing, risk versus reward is what Georgia's doing. So Atlanta's pretty much open market. They're doing whatever they want, it feels like, in Atlanta. But every year or two, somebody from outside of Atlanta or Georgia regulation will come in and raid somebody and set an example or whatever. But then it always goes out in a wash anyways, because they raid the people that were actually trying to do things a decent way. So the past 3 that Georgia's done has ended just with Georgia wasting a bunch of time and money. Yeah. So, but as far as overall, Georgia has some weird guidelines. So we do have a shop in Catoosa County, Georgia, just to be on the radar, just to be in there, see what's going on, play their game or whatnot. So whenever we manufacture products, there are a few different products that we manufacture specifically for Georgia, so we can sell in Georgia. But for the most part about it, people come from Georgia all the time. I mean, we've got 3 stores right here within 3 to 5 miles of the Georgia border in multiple different places. So at the end of the day, it's like, we're in Tennessee, we sell it as a Tennessee product. Well, we do recommend for flower and stuff like that in Georgia, because that's the biggest thing about the Georgia cops. They see a joint, they see a gram of bud, and they're like, "Oh man, this is marijuana." We gotta, and they'll tell. Georgia will still take you to jail. And
They will.
When was the last time? About a year ago, one of our guys that was working with us, he got pulled over and had roach in the car and smelled like weed or whatever, and they took his ass to jail.
They didn't even think about it.
No. So it's it does get a little tricky with some of the flower stuff in Georgia, but gummies, edibles, drinks, all that kind of stuff. No crap about that one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Is does a Georgia resident, when they come to one of your stores in Tennessee, do they have to worry about transporting anything back?
We set everybody up with here's your bag, here's your receipt, here's every one of our products meets even like marijuana states regulations on what product packaging needs to look like. So we've gone above and beyond and not giving anybody a hard time about that part. But definitely with the flower, for sure, people that travel back to Georgia with the flower, that's a recommendation that we've got on them to kind of like
No, I mean, and I've talked
don't
to
smoke
some
in
of
the car. Yeah, don't have it smell like weed in the car, and they won't give you no crap about it. But you're driving down the road and smoking a joint and it smells like it. Yeah. They can give you shit in Georgia for sure.
Yeah, what really sucks, though, I've talked to a couple of people in Eastridge too, and I will say generally people they're not really having those kind of issues, but it's always, especially with Catoosa County, it's a flip of a coin. It's like, how is that cop having a bad day? How much does that cop care about this? And it's such a juxtaposition between what we've got. I talk about it all the time. That one time we had the Red Bank police come in. Red Bank police come in, brings a deputy, like, hey, here's this flower, here's this drink, here's this. This is all stuff that is regulated. It's good. You pull someone over with a Snapdragon bag, we already know this is all good. And that kind of level of conversation is not something that's happening in Georgia.
No. Georgia's the opposite. And also with cops visiting the stores in 2019, whenever probably a few months into happened, the Eastridge store opened by the Taco Bell. We had 2 or 3 different times where Eastridge police would come in, do a little training, and they even brought in their little test bag to put the flower in and shake it, turn purple, so it wasn't passed or whatever. And then Hickson, the Hamilton County guys come over a few times to the Hickson location, and then Red Bank and the Red Bank location. So we like to be on board with, officers in the area. They're pulling people over. One of the 3 incidences we had in Eastridge was somebody got pulled over and they had like one of our tubes and like a couple of our packages of stuff they had, but they had like just some hand rolled joints, and the cop was like, "Is this yours?" I'm like, "No,
Nope,
dude, that's a hand rolled joint." So it's like, we're on board with wanting to make sure that the officers are on our side for sure. But
we definitely put in the effort to make it as safe as possible for the consumer.
Oh, yeah. But about Georgia, oh my gosh! Last time I was in Georgia, I went to the main little courthouse next to the jail for Catoosa County. Maybe it was before we opened up the Fort O store, so it would have been beginning of last summer. And I went in there and I talked to the lieutenant that was on duty at the time, and it's this iteration of just nonsense. It's like, there's nothing that what they know in their little spiel about what they say is the same thing that the guy in 2019 said whenever he was giving us some crap about it from Detective Alan Miles or
Oh,
whatever back in
gosh.
the day. Yeah. So it's just the same spiel that Georgia has, that the crime rate of everywhere that's went legal has went up. People, it's everything's bad. People are dying. It's not good for them. It's addictive. It's like it's
Oh
just
my
all
gosh.
the.
It's
crazy
when
to
we
hear what they
first started
say.
off, we got shut down at the flea market, and I literally had a Catoosa County cop tell me there is more cancerous substances in one joint than an entire pack of cigarettes. I was like, yo, God. You are just not, there's no education here on that.
Yeah.
So, and no
So-
willingness to learn about it
Mm-mm.
either.
Yeah, so it's so frustrating with some of the North Georgia folks. It's just the opposite of they're against it. They don't believe in it, and they're against it because somebody told them that to be against it. There's not like I've always been, I feel like, really good to look at both sides of the table and be like, all right, look, you think this, you think this. There's a middle ground somewhere, right?
There usually
Ain't
is.
no
Yeah.
middle ground in Georgia.
Nope.
Depending on
Middle
the-
ground is Atlanta.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's about it.
Yeah, but it is so wild because the Catoosa guys and the Walker guys are they're kind of friends. They kind of have the same
Sure.
idea and mentality, but they don't like the people in Dalton.
Mm-mm. No.
Dalton, yeah. Dalton gets away with a lot of stuff.
On that note, while we're kind of on that subject, let's address some of the common misconceptions when it comes to like public health and stuff. Things that y'all really would want people to know now that you kind of have a forum to talk about that.
Yeah, some public health stuff.
Public health.
Our products will make you fail a drug test.
That's true. Yeah.
So that question does get asked a lot. So would I fail a drug test from it? I guess the biggest thing on the drug test aspect of it is consumption, use, how much you take, stuff like that. But at the end of the day,
It's just so hard to say because it's kind of like some of the topics that we touched over. The biggest public health risks are the gas stations having HHC and all this other stuff. So we definitely try to inform the customer. One of our big pillars in our community is knowledge, and we want to make sure that all the retail staff is armed with that. Like they do ask the customers, hey, do you have to take a drug test? Do you have diabetes or something that would affect the sugar intake? As we make a lot of things with sugar. Try to ask people, hey, what's your general experience with cannabis? We're not going to throw you an edible that's a couple hundred milligrams. If you've never smoked before, you're going to have a bad time. You might think you're having a panic attack. So it's really just the knowledge base and having the opportunity and time to talk to each person as an individual when they come into the location.
I like that aspect of it because what we want to do is set people up for success, right? We don't want somebody to come in. It's like, oh, I've never done this before. All right, cool. Here's a 100 milligram drink, and then blast off, So the something for everybody mentality of what we do is probably one of the biggest aspects of the public health and safety and consistency. Because we'll have a product that's a 5 milligram product and a 10 milligram product and a 25 and a 50 and a 100 and a 250. If somebody that's looking for the 250 gets the 5 or 10, they're going to be mad as hell. If somebody that's looking for a 10 or 5 gets the 250, they're also going to be mad, but in a whole nother way, No,
they're going to be part of the people that are saying, yeah, let's ban weed. Like,
Exactly.
We had a bad time. This is bad.
Shit should be illegal. What the hell? So I guess the education aspect and the information that we're able to provide is probably the biggest aspect that really helps us out in the public health and safety because, as we get to the gas station stuff, you walk into a gas station, something's next to you on the counter and it's, $8 for a gummy and it's supposed to, whatever, chill gummy, and you eat it. And then as you're driving down the road, you're like seeing shit. And it's like, this is not what I was
And if you
expecting.
ask that gas station attendant a question, it's pointless.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ask.
No.
They don't know.
What they sold this week is different what they got next week versus whatever, and just inconsistencies about it.
Yeah,
So,
and the concentrations are going to be different.
Oh, yeah.
I had a really bad experience the only time I've ever tried Delta 8,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was because the concentration was like 4 times what it was supposed to be.
That happens more often than you would think.
Oh, sure. That's the biggest part of what we've our goal with the regulations on stuff like that, because there's been I can't even count how many people have had bad experiences with that same exact reason. It's like I just wanted to try it, so I went and bought one. And so what'd you get? And it's like I got this 100 milligram gummy, and it's like that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And of course, for 95% of people that have never done something like this and are consistently doing it, one of the biggest things is you can always take or eat more, but you can never take or eat less. Once you've taken it, it's a ride.
That's what happened to me. It was I got it from my massage therapist, and she was like, "You're 240 pounds. Just eat one of the gummies."
Yeah.
and it was during the World Series, and I thought Freddie Freeman was standing in my living room. I started wigging out, and yeah, 6 hours later, I was sitting in the tub with no water running and staring at the wall. It's 4 o'clock in the morning and didn't know what's going on.
Well,
And I was like, I'm never doing this again.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
So
So it turns a lot of people off. Like, and we're thankful for those people that at one point in time said they'd never do it again, but they come into our store wanting to try something. You know, all my friends talk about it, and I've been having to try it, but I want to try it. And then they try it, and they're like, "Wow, this is great. I've been
Yeah.
missing this whole time." And my favorite's the 90-year-old grandmas that come in that were that were against it whenever their kids were doing it in the 60s or 70s or whatever, and then they try it and they're like, "Oh my God, I've been missing out my whole life."
Yeah.
that's one that always touches
I'm
my
the
heart for
poster
sure.
boy
It
for
happens
somebody
a lot.
that's never been high, never smoked marijuana or anything, and took one Delta 8 and had a bad trip on it. And I'm like, oh no, I'm
Yeah.
never doing this again.
Well, that's just
So-
really a big part of the informant.
Yeah.
I am an everyday user. There's been times in my life where I've eaten edibles just about every day. If I get misinformed and I think something's a 50 milligram and it's 500 milligrams, even as an everyday user, I'm probably gonna have a bad experience from that.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna be like, oh, if God forbid I was at work or something, doing something important, you can't even do that.
Yeah, luckily for me, I was at home, and it was almost bedtime, and I was just chilling on the couch, and I could only imagine, like you said, if I would have taken that, decided to take it while I was driving home.
yeah,
It's like,
terrible.
and I'm driving a 9,000-pound truck. Like,
oh yeah.
I can see from like just a normal everyday citizen where like the concern would be. So I think more of y'all's perspective is, let's make sure that the concentrations are what they say they are. Let's regulate it and make sure that people are educated on it and not getting screwed up, because there is no regulation.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's it. And as we bring regulation, doing stuff the right way, whenever we started, even at the flea market in 2018, there was already, 6, 7, 8, 9 other hemp shops around Chattanooga area. So we had a lot to compete with. But as soon as people started kind of seeing, what we had to offer, price points we offered, consistency we offered, it didn't take long we opened up a store every 7 months for the past, 4 years or so. So staying pretty consistent with it for sure. Getting out of the people.
Mm-hmm. Spreading ourselves out and getting into more areas, doing more things.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next for you guys? What's the next step?
Two
That's a big
things.
question.
Two things. Two things. First, let's go over some mushroom stuff. So that's what I spent this morning doing. Different versions of mushrooms. We got some extracts from like high level, some of the better like pharmaceutical grade mushroom type stuff in town, or not in the states. But reishi, turkey tail, lion's mane, chaga, cordyceps, and there's one more that we did some testing on today.
There is one more.
Yeah. So we're playing around with those and trying to
Maca?
see.
Micah?
Yeah, Maiki. It was an odd one. I've never heard before, but it was that was the one.
I
that
heard
was,
you say it.
Yeah. We did one that was an immunity blend that had that one in there, and oh god, it tasted like crap. But out of all the ones we did, that was the one that tasted bad. So it was a good success over all the others. But the idea of again, for those people that don't want to be high, because we could put 25 milligram of THC in a drink and you'll feel it and you'll be high for a couple hours, right?
Mhm.
But if you do something like with the mushroom type idea, it's something for that, like it gets rid of the brain fog. It's uplifting. It's just a good sense of enjoyment during the day. Good clarity kind of brought with it. I'm enjoying what I took today. Couple different blends about some stuff, and we made like 4 or 5 samples to give out to other people that work with us to try out and see what they think. So doing something like that with there's actually a brewery in North Birmingham. They might be one of the first couple test folks that want to do some stuff with us. They're wanting to make an IPA beer and do a mushroom IPA. So it's like an uplift. So it's not like the idea of alcohol as a depressant. Mushrooms opposite of that. So how can we combine these two together to have an uplifting experience, but still have that, buzz like off alcohol? So that's something cool that we're playing with.
It's gonna be fun for sure.
Yeah, that'll be fun as we continue the drinks. We've got 10 different kind of drinks that we do. THC, THCV, uplift drinks, energy drinks, super strong drinks. Most of our drinks are just water and THC. Do a lot of really good things with water and THC. Vitamin C, stuff like that as well too. But it's just so good because the water idea, that we've been pushing for this past year and a half. There's no calories in it. There's no sugar. There's no carbs. It's just water from Tennessee and some THC that we've made water
Heck, the blood
soluble.
orange one even has additives. We got 100% of your vitamin C intake for the day. We got
Yeah.
electrolytes in there, just really cool little pushes to it too.
Yeah, and we got the electrolytes from the salt from what this
Ancient sea salt.
ancient sea salt from Ohio, back when Ohio was in the sea millions of years ago. So like the odd stuff that we do is always cool. But the mushrooms, that's gonna be a fun experiment here soon. Starting to incorporate that into some more of the drinks and gummies as well too. Also, the production facility. Ooh, we just bought a. So whenever we started in 2019 or 2018, we're doing stuff out of the house for a little while, and then we rented a commercial kitchen, a little incubator type setup on a commercial kitchen for a year or so. Then we built our own lab in Hickson, and then the Hickson lab a year later outgrew, moved to Lee Highway. That outgrew, moved to Red Bank. Bakery moved to 58. And so we've just been playing, musical chairs with a production facility in Chattanooga. We're on our 4th production facility now. Of course, inspected and approved and all this fun things, Department of Ag, but we're about to be on our 5th. So I bought a warehouse in Saudi Daisy. It's going to be about 12,000 square foot. And we started all the insulation, spray foam, construction, permits, electrical, HVAC, all that stuff June 1st. So just started that adventure. That's going to be real
It's our
fun.
biggest expansion yet.
Yeah.
Every single person involved is just super excited about it. And like he said, every single year it's just like, oh, that's not enough space. Oh, that's not enough space. This is going to be an amazing amount of space.
Yeah. At least
Get
for
the
a
job done.
at
For a
least
year.
for a
For a
year.
year.
Yeah. So that's been cool. We've been, growing as fast as we can, but utilizing what we've had. Everything that we've done. I've sold a gummy, or I've sold a CBD oil, or I sold a pre-roll to get where we're at today. Just one by one selling. So it's been a fun journey for sure. But as we're busting at the seams, and we've got production at one place, and bakery at one place, and warehouse at one place, and storage at another place, and it's getting it all under one roof is going to be super exciting. So I know it's not as overall cannabis related as some of the other stuff, but Snapdragon related. So that's exciting. And then also these dinners that we're doing on June 15th, Wonderlinger. So Wonderlinger just upgraded their kitchen, new oven, new menu, bunch of new cool things. So we're hoping to go over there on June 15th, and we're going to have a infused murder mystery dinner. So that should be fun. It's like a $40 ticket, and we have 40 tickets. Just a little first time run. Let's see how this goes. But we were infusing all the food, infusing all the drinks. And I really let it be creative when we infuse stuff. So, again, back to the extraction idea, farmers will bring us stuff that's earthy, stuff that's lemony. There's all type of different cannabis out there. So whenever we do extractions of these oils, each oil has its own little similarity, its own little uniqueness to it or whatever. So whenever you do something you want it to be real earthy, we'll use like some good OG Kush, some dank something earth, and you want something to be like uplifted, we'll use like a Jack Herrera or Super Silver Haze or something like that. Or so whenever we play with these formulations for the food stuff, I'm really excited about the potential of just showcasing what we can do to these folks in the food thing. So that's exciting too, coming up.
Honestly, this year, big thing I would just like to mention the push of events in general, between us really revamping the way that we do our events, between hitting these podcasts, between opening up our lounge downtown, soon to be a little music venue that we're going to be opening as well. Here soon, going onto our website and looking at the Snapdragon events calendar is going to be like, pick a day and there will be something going on, something to watch, something to view, some event happening, some infused dinner. It's just going to be packed to the brim with events.
Oh,
so
for sure.
It's exciting.
It's been so fun because I've been a cannabis user now for past 10 years or so. A lot of cannabis friends, and most of the cannabis friends, they're never the guys that are like, oh, let's go to the bar. I love bar food. I'm going to the bar just to eat. Now I'll get a beer, whatever, right? But bar food's just so good in Chattanooga, and we've got some amazing bars that do good. But these cannabis folks, they're not the drinkers. They're not the people that go out to bars and eat good food. So trying to bridge that gap between what does social cannabis use look like in Chattanooga versus what the opposite, no THC to bar before. So we're in like 25 different bars and restaurants in Chattanooga now, where you can go to a restaurant at 10 o'clock and you can get a THC drink and you can get some bomb food and try some stuff like that out. About 2 years ago, we started having like they're called Dab Bar. So we got a Dab Bar in East Ridge and a Dab Bar at the Red Bank store. But really, for the most part, they're tasting rooms. They're
Yeah.
probably better defined as a tasting room, but
Samplers.
sampler. But we have regulars and we have some people that come, all the places. And it's a great environment for folks. It's so fun.
There's some
But
people that come 30 days a month
yeah, yeah,
to the
yeah.
tap bar.
Oh, for sure. But they're great folks. Love to see them. We're always having a good time because it's
Mm-hmm.
the idea of the tasting room. Whenever we first did this 2 years ago, was like, all right, so people are walking into the retail store, and they don't know what this product does for them. They don't see the use, like the concentrate and the dab, like trying to get that out. Oregon, Colorado, in the past 10, 15 years, it's gotten real popular. But in Tennessee, 6 years ago, nobody knew what the heck, what's a dab, what's a concentrate, what's shatter, what's crumble, what's wax, what's diamonds, all that. So, and also too, with the infused drinks, we've got kegerators at those locations as well too. So it's $5 if you're at Red Bank or you're at East Ridge. For $5, you can get a dab, you can get a drink, whatever. If you're coming during happy hour, like 3 to 4, they're buy one get one free. It's like for $5, you can try anything you want to try out. And we took that same mentality of like a social cannabis in a retail store when we opened up the Dragon downtown. So that's at 508 Broad Street. You can go in there during the day, get you a drink, get you smoke concentrate inside, get your pre-roll smoke outside. So trying to bring that like just overall consumption of cannabis into the, hey, let's go out and have a good time downtown, enjoy this beautiful city that we're in, not just at the house smoking. And I feel like for so many of my friends and cannabis users and myself as well, for a long time it was, I go home and you smoke at home, and that's just kind of what it was. So trying to bring that more of a social aspect to it, I believe is really going to help bridge the gap between, you know, the use of and the stigma between and the like, oh, you just smoke weed and you get lazy and you're not productive and all that. It's like that's not the truth
It's
at
not
all.
the
You can
truth,
smoke
no.
weed and have a great time and then not feel groggy in the morning because there's no hangover.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pros
I
to
mean,
it.
it's just like anything else. There's a chance, you can do too much of anything.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you sit there and you eat 500 milligrams, or if you go to the bar and you're like, drink, 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 you're gonna do whatever. But for me, it's cool to have an environment, like you said, the testing environment. Unlike the regular edibles that last forever, the stuff that we've been able to do, someone can go to the dab bar and they can have a drink and they can chill out there for 45 minutes or so, and that's a great sample environment. They're gonna leave and they're not gonna be like, oh, I can't drive home.
That's the beauty about our drinks, and we put years of research into these drinks that we do. We're able to take a molecule and make it 20,000 times smaller than the current THC molecule. So when you take that THC, you're not having to wait for your liver and your kidney, your stomach to break it down for absorption. Typical edible takes 45 minutes to an hour before you feel it. With our drinks, some people like 8 minutes in, they're like, man, I can already feel it. And then like pretty good 15, 20 minutes in, you're almost at full effects with it. And then because of that onset, you can take just 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams. You'll feel it in 15 or 20 minutes. You'll know what it's like. If you only take that much, it might only last 30 minutes or an hour and a half for some people. But it's something where you can try it. You feel a little high for a little bit. It goes away and you're back to normal. There's no grogginess. There's no whatever. So that's been so fun. The drinks are so cool. We're trying to push the drinks all over. We've got distribution, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville, the Total Wine and Spirits. It's the biggest liquor store in the state
So
of Tennessee. They've picked this up as well too. So there's a lot of big things coming with these drinks, and we just want to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So what about how people can like get involved to kind of push y'all's message and help out responsible legislation and laws getting passed and stuff like that? Like how can people that are already supporting you guys kind of get involved to help out even more?
It gets a little hard because session's over right now, so you're not going to be able to talk to any representatives or senators at this moment and really get anything done. But every year between January to March is the biggest push. We all send out emails, customers talk to, hey, let your senator know, let your representative know what your thoughts are, how it helps you, what the detriment would be if this was not available to purchase anymore, stuff like that. So that does a good job. Whenever we did that the Department of Ag went in March about the questionnaire, there's over 4,000 some odd questions that got asked. So so there's a lot of like engagement that we're having with our customers and even folks like the Farm and Med guys in town. Chris is a great guy, and his mother Kathy's actually running for representative seat 27. I forgot. I know it's the Hickson area and Red Bank area. She's running to get elected over there with an initiative of cannabis for everybody. So So there's some good pushes even from some of the other hemp places in town that are, hey, speak out, reach out, tell somebody what's up. Because whenever they come out with a rule last December, he quit selling flower for like a month because he was nervous about it.
Oh my gosh,
And he was like, tell everybody, the customers were coming in. It's like, you got to tell them, you got to tell them, you got to tell them. So there's a lot of different ways that people are trying. But overall message to tell people is to break the stigma. Tell your friends.
Yeah, that's fair. Spread the word.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's how we got to this point, spreading
Mhm.
the word, organic growth,
Oh, for sure. So as far as just the more it gets pushed and the more people know about it, the more standardized it comes. It's just a natural method of implementation of itself. So
hmm
it's working.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, if we were, sitting there 6 years ago, half the stuff we're doing now, it really wasn't even in the scope. So much has drastically changed in just this amount of time. It can only keep getting better.
Oh, sure, for sure. So
So how can, if people do have specific questions for themselves, what's a good way to either get a hold of you guys or to talk to somebody in person?
the best method. So we actually we invest pretty heavily in our online communications department. So our Facebook, our Instagram, and even our website. So we have on our website, if you go, I believe it's 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. If you go to the
Yep.
website, there's like a little chat button. You can just ask it a question, but it's not just asking a question to an automated thing. We have somebody sitting at a computer between 8 to 5, and like within a minute, whoop, here's your answer right to you.
Very informed.
Yeah, yeah. So our customer service guys and our customer service, Alec, he's amazing. He's smart. He's done a lot of the different cannabis. What was the university he went to? Massachusetts.
It was something of New Haven. I think
New
it was the
Haven.
University of New Haven.
Okay.
I think
Yes.
that's what
So
it was.
he's done some cannabis courses as well to help educate folks that reach out, and some of the odd people ask odd questions about how does this interact with my whatever medication or whatever type stuff like that. So
And we have a lot of good blogs too as well. If typically I've seen somebody, maybe come in and ask a question and get a question answered, but it's not something that we've gone in detail on our website, and that spurs Alec and the team to have more ideas for blogs and stuff too. So it's
yeah,
always
for sure.
fun to talk to people.
Oh yeah. And once somebody asks the same question a bunch of times, it's like, all right, people need
People
to
need to
know.
know this.
Yeah. So, but the online methods that we have, whether email or Facebook or Instagram or even the website, quick responses, good responses, targeted stuff. You can ask it. You could ask us any question. We'll come up with an answer for you. It won't be like, oh, better look next time.
Yeah.
And how many stores y'all say that you've got now?
13 total now. We also have a Zinnia Spa on Ringgold Road. So it's a spa focused on cannabis relaxation. So you can go in there. It's right beside the East Ridge location with the dab bar in it. So you can partake, smoke, you can get a drink, you can, have a little internal feeling or whatnot. And then this massage based on self-care, relaxation. Cannabis is so cool topically. So CBD, even for those that have to worry about a drug test, you can take CBD, Delta 8, Delta 9, any THC, CBN, CBG, all these cannabinoids topically. And when you rub them on in this blend that we've created with some of our products, we have a goat's milk lotion that's good, massage oils that are good, body butters, sugar scrubs. We make all kind of really cool things that are topically infused with cannabis. And for those that like wake up in the morning and their hands are stiff or their hands hurt, it's a miracle for a lot of the folks.
That's
So,
a whole episode right there.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that on
Yeah.
one of the upcoming episodes for sure.
Yeah,
So,
topical's cool. So
Yeah, they're proven.
Mhm.
Proven
Yeah.
work.
Oh, that was off topic about so the spa is a cool location. The consumption lounge at the Dragon's a cool location. So we're trying to branch out and do some unique stuff to showcase folks that it's been real cool in the spa side of the world. People self-care, pedicure, manicure, take care of themselves, whatever relaxation, but they get to see kind of like, what does cannabis relaxation mean? And it's just floating on the cloud. So I love it. It's starting to spread on that one for sure. So we just did a grand opening of that one week after 420, 427,
Okay. Yeah.
427, 5/1.
Yeah. It's a little over a month or so.
Yeah. So that's been fun.
all right, guys. Well, that's actually our time, believe it or not.
Nice.
We've been at this for an hour already.
Wow.
So this is a great first show. I think this is plenty for people to kind of get to know who you guys are and what y'all are doing. And we will dive into more in-depth conversations in the episodes to come, looking for these to come out weekly. So
Awesome.
if y'all want to give your outro and your name and your position.
I'm Rob. Okay.
Rob, tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Rob. I'm a co-owner of Snapdragon Hemp. I've been working in the space for about 6 years.
Yeah. I'm Josh. I'm the owner founder of Snapdragon Hemp. I've been doing this from the basement since 2016.
All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.